And welcome back, everybody. We're back and we're live, and we're gonna do some shenanigans because apparently that's what we do Monday nights is more shenanigans. We started some fun stuff about I think it was like 2 weeks ago. Haven't been quite as good about streaming lately, but we're gonna try to get back into the habit of it. Life, Hope everybody's having a wonderful week, and it's a short week. So for all of those that are having a holiday either this week or next week, because I know like this week there's the 4th of July, next week there's the 14th of July, for and I'm sure there's some other holidays out there that I am failing to mention, but for all of those, looking forward to some holidays and to some having fun with potential fireworks and all that fun stuff, that I'm surely looking forward to definitely looking forward to a day off for the holidays. But until then, we still have some website work to do. We started doing some edits on the contributors for the Andromeda website, and we never finished them. So let's go ahead and finish that. Let's go back to kind of refresh our memories to what we were actually doing. Let's see. That is not the correct screen. Hold on. We're gonna fix that live because that is how we do, because we don't always test our shit, but apparently when we do, it's in production. Yeah, fun times. How do we edit this? Of course, we're going to edit the screen capture. I don't know why this decided to to change the screen source on me, but we're going to fix that. Let's see, can I figure out how to do this? You guys get to watch me do this live. Ooh, infinity. Infinity bad. Let's not do infinity. We're trying to figure out why. Screen source. Nope, not screenshot. I'm trying to figure out why the source is in properties. Properties. There we go. We want to display this one. Okay. Now let's see if that works. Yay! We're on the correct one now. Awesome sauce. That is what we wanted. Because, why it shifted it on me, I don't know. But it's fixed now. So what we were doing last time, and is to go ahead and actually, this is a better view if I go this route, although then I don't have my notes. So I'm going to grab my notes, put them over here, and then we're going to go this route. So what we ended up doing, which is super cool, is ending up, and this works on multiple profiles, we had this on multiples as well, is to go ahead and, what were our options here? Information is currently included on the data. Recognition. I don't remember what that was. Oh, the recognitions. We have those awards and recognitions. Online presence, which we have added as well. We've added the website. It is there. Move the pronouns. We did move the pronouns. Enlarge the photo avatar. We did that. This is the part where we left out to add. Let's add a CTA to the page. We need to add it as a schema. Could match the CTA on the blog post, header image, description, link, label, link URL, or be a widget to allow Calendly or contact forms. So, so let's go ahead and do the schema aspect first, because we have not done that part of it. So to do the schema options, I need to go find the actual ignition portion of this little game, and we need to go find the contributors. So if I go to our configurations and we find the schemas, we should on here have collaborators. And those are all of the people on the blog that might do something. So if we go to, I basically used my URL already. I reused it, that's okay. If we go to localhost and we go find our blog and we go find our contributors, let's grab Michael, that's a great one. That's the one we were just looking at. I'm going to put this over here. And I'm going to put this over here. We have all of this information about them. And so this is what drives what content gets shown. So what we need to add over here is some sort of call to action. So we had over here in our pretty ticket information on what to do. We're going to add a field. We're going to call that our call to action. And everywhere on this side, I just have them called as CTA. I'm going to remove this bracelet so it quits making noise on the stream because that's obnoxious. And we are going to, from there, that should be better on the sound. There we go. We are going to, from there, we're going to do a field set. So all of our information related to that is going to be in our field set. I should be able to do a field set in here. Field set, it's the first one at the top. And we're going to add that to the schema. And we're only going to do one call to action, so we're not going to do it repeat. And so in that field set, we need to add header, image, description, link label, link URL, or be a widget to allow a Calendly or contact form. So we're going to add a header. It's going to be our header, and it's going to be a type text. So in type input of type text, and it is not going to be required. It is going to have a max length of, let's say, something reasonable, right? Probably like 150 characters is probably more than enough. And we are going to save that puppy. And now, so we now have this aspect of it. The next one we're going to put is our image. So we're going to add a field, add field to field set. This is going to be our image. We're going to call that an image. So, in our image, we are going to not make it required. We're going to allow for a name, a URL, an alt text, and an attribution if necessary. Cool. Back to schema. Oops, I meant to do back to field set. There we go. We're going to add a description. That one can be as long as people want it to be. I do have a protection on the CMS to prevent people from going completely hog wild. We'll let the database defaults be the database default. I am going to make it a WYSIWYG so that it can be formatted, and so therefore we will be expecting Markdown. It is not required. And then back to field sets. We're going to add a link label. That is going to be an input of text. Again, not necessarily required. Add field set. And then we're going to add we're going to add the link URL. We're going to make that a input. We're going to do a type URL. We are going to do a pre-created validator on that. We're going to use this as a link. And we're going to put as a hint over here is use full. Actually, I'm not going to make that a link URL because people might want to link to a page directly in the website proper. So I'm going to make that a type text because that would allow a relative URL, if I put a type URL, it's going to expect the HTTP as ://, which we don't want. Alrighty, next it's coffee time, because coffee makes the world go round, or at least my world go round. We're gonna add that to the field set. Ooh, did I already add it? Is that the idea? No, I did not. So add to field set. What happened? Link URL. Link URL. Actually, this is the human readable version. There you go. Link type input text. Save. That's the field set. I don't know what happened there. Apparently I did something weird. So we have link label, link URL, and finally we're going to do the widgets. So I'm going to, so this is where widgets get interesting, because what I really want to build, and I haven't had a chance to, is to allow widgets to have a configuration with it. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna add the option for, actually we're just gonna add it here. We have a call to action. We're going to, or be a widget. It could match the custom CT on the blog post, or be a widget to allow Calendly or contact form. So we're going to add a field here, and we're going to add just a widget. What I'm going to do, could the widget use a header? Probably. So what we're going to do for, we're going to do that as a field set as well. And we're going to call it widget. I'm going to call it widget set, widget CTA. And we're going to call that, actually, we're going to just go back to, we're just going to add that option in the CTA. Why not? Because you could have all of those things. So we're going to say that's the widget, and that's a widget. And that is going to be a select, and it's going to be a relational select to something that is already here. We're going to be looking for the widget name. We're going to sort by the name, and we're going to be looking for widgets. And save. So now that we have this, if I go to any of our contributors, so if I go to there and I go to our collaborators and I go to, this is interesting that there's only two. That kind of weirds me out that there's only two. Should be more than that. That is very interesting. And am I in the wrong? No, this is correct. Weird. Should be more than two. Oh, do you know what? I have it filtered. I'm an idiot. I have it filtered, don't I? Look at that. I have it filtered. If I remove the filter, magic, we have more people. All right. Magic. So if I go to, let's say, Michael, now we should have, that's all of the recognitions. We now have a call to action that we can play with. So, don't know what, in this case, let's say if I were, I'm going to do it on mine because that way we can maybe play with the concept of the Calendly widget. I don't think, if I were to make a Calendly widget, Calendly demo, that's a different one. We have a number of Calendlys. If I go, let me look at how the Calendly widget is done. because we might make this a little bit more configurable. Not what I meant to do, but that's okay. So if I go to our trusty website, which is here somewhere, I need to go to the code. There we go. All right, so if I look at our Calendly widget, our Calendly JS, interesting. Okay. We have that. If we do Calendly, Calendly, we have a Calendly.js, which is blank, which is obviously not getting used anywhere since it's blank. Let's make a Calendly that requires a configuration. So let's do, I'm going to copy this. We're going to make a Calendly new file. We're going to control V that. That really worked. Don't know why this exists. Delete. Said we're going to copy paste that. There we go. All right, so once we copy paste that, what we're going to find is that realistically, this URL is what is going to end up determining the calendar that we want to go ahead and give, right? So we're going to make it so that we pass in a widget data. So to kind of half-ass this, because we don't really have the ability to do configurable Calendly things, what we're going to do is on this contributor, on the contributor schema, because specifically Calendly is what was mentioned. Where did I put the schema? Wrong lever. Wrong lever, conk. There it is. What we're gonna do is we're gonna look at what else necessary here. And we're gonna make it so that you can put the Calendly widget. So this is, we need a, I'm gonna do schema. We're gonna add Calendly URL. And I'm gonna take this guy. example. Right. And that is in fact going to be a type input type text or URL with a validator of URL or link. And so with that, and we're going to also have a name probably. I did it again, didn't I? We want that to be human readable. And then add Calendly name. I don't know that we need a name. No. And so here, if a Calendly link is provided, don't also add the Calendly, which realistically shouldn't exist, but that's neither here nor there. Calendly widget, the URL will automatically. I'm gonna do that, save. So now if I go to, let's say mine, collections, and let's say we go ahead, and I do have a Calendly URL somewhere. Let's close all this. Just a little bit easier to contend with. I need to add my recognition, so that'd be good. Do that eventually. Let's say if I open my Calendly, let's say I want to put my 30-minute calendar, right? So let's get this URL. So if I put as a option, and the Calendly URL. I'm gonna put a widget here just because I want to see how it handles. A testimonial at random. I'm gonna do link example. And then description. Hello world. I can spell. Hello world. How are you today on this fine Monday evening? One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. I think it's blue fish, but this is funnier. And then we're going to add an image just so that we can, you know, have some fun with that. Sure. Let's do this one, select. All right, let's save this. We're gonna put some BS text in here. 3 avatars in bubbles, and attribution. This is moi. At example.com. There we go. Okay, let's see what happens there. So I'm going to pull the latest and greatest data, and we're going to be able to start playing with this. So if I go back to here, I'm going to kill that, get the latest data down. There we go. And now if I go, actually this won't work because it's not done yet. I need to restart it. There we go. Restarts, I need to figure out why my phone's going insane. Right. Randomness. That's why. Randomness. All right. Blog. We're gonna go blog. We're gonna go find me because we just put a bunch of, and we just put a bunch of junk in the schema and a bunch of data, but we're not doing anything with that data at the moment, so we have no indication of what's what. So we need to add it somewhere. I don't love the fact that the blog post goes 2 down, but I think that if we were to try to go 3 over here, that's not going to be pretty, although we could just go to 1 a lot sooner. I think we're going to skip this 3 because this bothers me, especially in a half screen. Half screen is totally a thing, so we're going to fix that. So we have, that's recognitions, scale. Where are we doing this? Where are we doing this? I think we're just doing the it is a 3, it's a grid, so I should find a grid somewhere. It's in styles. This is where the 2 comes in, and this is where the 3 comes in. So we're gonna skip out on this 2 bit entirely because I just don't like this 2 thing going on. And we're gonna go straight to 3. So this is gonna replace that. That is gonna replace that. And that is gonna go away. So now when I'm on a half screen, and we're gonna put you at the bottom, that way we have legitimate half screen. Yeah, that's nicer. That's a lot nicer. Because now, yeah, okay, fine, it's taking up a lot of width, but it's still a lot nicer. And if I open it in here, yeah, that's decent. That's a lot nicer. That 2 thing was just not doing it for me. I don't know about y'all, but 2, I mean, if there was only 2, then it'd be okay, but there's not only 2, so it's not okay. All right. So now back to, so we have 3 tops and then we have mores, which is perfectly fine. So now let's go back to here and let's take a look at adding that data in, right? So we just created the schema to add a call to action. So we need to go ahead and add said call to action. So over here in set call to action, we're going to go ahead and add a we're going to add, so this is our recognitions, which I don't have any listed at the moment. This is our online presence. So we probably want it in between the recognition and maybe there's the bio stuff. And then we have, basically we have our structures, we have the bio, we have the recognitions, we have the online presence, and then we have our blog posts, which is our latest posts, and then all of the rest of the posts. So I think our call to action probably belongs right after our bio. Probably here. So we're going to do a and so here we're going to have H3, which is going to end up being a CTA p.cta.header. If we have one, we'll deal with the whole having one versus not here in a minute. That did not do the trick. Why? That is what I did in our schema, isn't it? CTA header. So that should, and I saved this puppy, didn't I? I think so. Maybe I haven't. It would be like me not to save. Let's figure it out. All right. Is this just the small one? No, because it has everything in there. There's this. So... oh, it's not P, it's contributor. Magic. All right. So we have that aspect of it. Let's start putting in, and we'll put the conditionals for things in a second. So now we have our, let's do our image. Probably put the image here at the top of our CTA. Image. It's going to be contributor. .cta.image. .url. And then, so if I expand the image, we have the image name, we have a URL, and we have alt text and attribution. So URL alt equals contributor .cta .image .alt text, and then we have the, I'm gonna call that, I'm gonna do this as a figure. That way, if we do happen to have a source, we're gonna put it, or an attribution, we're gonna put it as a source. So I'm gonna do attribution is going to be a big caption. I'm gonna do reader.cpa.image.attribution, and we're gonna do that in Markdown. And then we have a description, which is going to be the same thing. And basically, I'm going to do something. We're going to do a, I don't remember how to do this. There's a way to, there we go, assign. We're going to assign so that I don't have to write contributor CTA 100 bloody times. So we're going to do CTA equals contributor.cta. That way I can just do CTA, because that'll be a lot nicer. And a lot less verbose. And same for CTA image. Although that's not, that's not saving me much. Okay. And that can just be CTA.header. And then that can be CTA.description. That's also going to be marked down. And then we have the widget. So we need the widget picker. And I'm gonna add a widget picker. Because that's just the widget URL. That's just the widget ID. Apparently I don't, not in this one anyway. It's okay. Alright. Good. So this is going to be we're gonna add some widgets, so that's gonna be CTA.widget include name, and there we go. And finally, what else do we have in here? Let's see. We have oh, the Calendly URL, and that's where the Calendly situation is going to come in. So for now, let's just print it to the screen. So now we should have a big fat mess of a bunch of stuff that we need to somehow style and contend with. Okay, so we have an issue with the image. It would help if I put my curly braces around things. They're not going to magically curly themselves. Curly braces and make themselves dynamic all by magic just because I will itself. Although that would be pretty cool if they could just read my mind. All right. So we have all of this. Do we have the widget? I don't remember what I put as a widget. Oh, I didn't. Oh, I put put testimonial. Didn't specify what testimonial though. So let's go ahead and pick something. Sure. Save that. Okay. Random, bunch of random stuff. That's probably not, that's a very confusing one to pick. Of course, let's pick something maybe less sure, I don't remember what this is. I could, you know, figure it out, but this is more fun. We'll discover it together. Together. Let's figure this out together. Okay. And now what do we have? Refresh. There you go. We have a link tree, which is fine. This is fine. All right, this is far less confusing. So based on that, now we need to style this. So we need to go ahead and figure out what we're going to do and how. So the first things first is to kind of block this off and point it out as a CTA of some sort, right? One of the ways in the blog, for example, that we have a CTA, let's open up a blog post. Probably has one. It should have one somewhere at the bottom. Of course, there we go. There we go. So this is how we style them, right? We have the dotted box, and then we have the header and content, and then the thing. So we can go ahead and kind of replicate that style. So we have a block contributor liquid, block contributor.css. We can go ahead and do something with that. If I do .cta border dotted 1px var accent. I think it's accent, not accent color. We'll find out soon enough. Our CTA should, at this point, have some kind of border. It does not. Probably because accent versus accent color. Which is what I just mentioned. I couldn't remember. Yeah, it's accent color. Because it's primary color, and there's your accent color. Ta-da! I knew it! I knew it! Here. Right. So now we got that. We're probably going to need some padding here in a second. We're going to add some padding to this. I'm going to move this over just a hair. There we go. So yeah, we're going to need some padding because our content is right up against it. So we are going to do a padding 1 rem all the way around. That way it stays proportional to our font size, which is what we've done everywhere else. Nice. All right. So now we need to figure out this image. Now I feel the way I've done it is I've put it in a figure. And since we do have the figure, right, our figure ends up having some padding as well as, or some margin, I mean. Figure, does it have a padding or margin? Oh, I already have some styles on the figure. Display, block, text align center, margin 0. Okay, so our figure already goes to the edge. And our image, cool, so we already did what we need to do with the image from our main styles from using figures in other places, which is actually kind of cool. So all we really need to do is if we think of having an image that would go full width, we probably want to consider having that go to the edge. So let's pick a different image really quick, because this was because I'm thinking of a slightly different example here. If we go back here and pick, let's say, browse images, your stock. Let's do the gala. Let's do this guy. I like the astronaut. That's perfect. Save. If I do the astronaut, astronaut on the moon, and we do, I don't know what the attribution is. This is attribution for someday. I should look that up. Save that puppy. Now, if we can consider an image like that, we're probably going to want it to go full width, simply because it'll look better in that space, right? So if I do npm start, restart that because we just pulled new data, and I go and take a peek at what we look at now, and I refresh this puppy, we see we have this edge, right? And so do we like the edge? Yes or no is the big question of the day. The thing that we definitely don't like is this extra white space on top here, because we have, if we do an inspect here, we have the image in and of itself has a margin, and then we have the this is coming from our image. So we essentially don't want the image to have a top, an image top. I don't hate the fact that it has some border on it, now that I think about it, especially with the dotted edge. That doesn't work too badly. What I don't want though is so what I do want is to get rid of that extra margin. So figure image, margin top 0. And that should get rid of that extra space where it's disproportional. You've got more space on the top than on the side. Hey Bull, hey Beoth, how's it going? The rumor mill has it that you had a lore link release today. How'd that go? The other thing we're going to do is remove the extra space on the bottom, so between our image and our big caption, simply so that they stay together. So we're essentially going to say, you know what, image margin 0 auto. Forget that top and down. Great, just wrapped it up. Sweet. Do you want to tell us about the new features that are going out, or is it top secret? There's been a lot of movement on LoreLink lately. It's been really fun to participate in and watch and do and all that fun stuff. Okay, so now we have that, and we have our description, and we have a widget. So all of this would work great. And now we just need to figure out this Calendly bit. So I'm going to kind of remove some of this extra noise. This really was mostly subscription management functionality. Nice. So yeah, we totally did launch officially with a bunch of stuff, including subscriptions. So you can now sign up for LoreLink, and there's multiple tiers depending on how much you want to use it and which functionality you get, but definitely check it out. If I can remember my own links, it is lorelink.com. I think I am. I need to put the HTTPS for it to take it, I think. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Well, hey, Biak. Hey, Animesh. Welcome to the chat. What are we building today? We are building, we're actually editing more than building, but we're editing a website that has a blog. And in the blog, people write blogs. Lots of people write blogs. And we're fleshing out and building out a little bit more on their kind of author page, if you will. We're calling it a contributors page. Programmatically speaking, but it's the author page. So this is mine, for example, with all my stuff. And so we're adding the ability for whoever's it is to be able to add some extra stuff, including, in this case, a call to action and messing with the Calendly widget for those who might want to have a link to that. So let's go ahead and remove, now that we know that we can have a image, we can have a title, we can have a description, and we can have a pre-made widget, let's deal with this Calendly thing. So let's remove the noise. Kind of like my spaceman, we're going to keep him a little longer. But we are going to remove that, and we are going to remove that. And we're just going to, oh, I haven't dealt with this link thing. Let's deal with that, and then we'll link with the Calendly. Because we didn't deal, I don't think, now that I think about it, I think we forgot the link. We forgot the link, because of course we did. We've got the links. Yeah, we totally forgot the link. So let's go ahead and add that. So we're gonna make that probably something kind of big, something kind of in your face, right? So we're gonna do div class equals action. I'm gonna do a link, so href equals whatever the link, so the cta.link URL is, and then the cta.link label. And that is, we're going to add some fancies around that in just a second. So, ta-da. So now we have the link somewhere, probably hidden. There it is. It's completely missable. So let's go ahead and fix the fact that our link, our CTA link, is completely missable. We're going to put it above the widget and the Calendly. And mess that up. I've been on, I generally dev on a Linux machine, which is what I'm on right now, but I have a Mac because Adobe is so still unwilling to support Linux. So for Adobe things, I still keep a Mac around. And so now my fingers are all like, is it Control or Window key to be able to copy paste? It's great. Gotta love switching back and forth between the two. One of these days, I'm going to remap the keyboard, all of my keyboards and all of my computers one way or another, and like probably something random and confuse the universe. It'll be great. But until that day, I'll just confuse myself, apparently. So we have the link. Now, the cool thing is we do have classes associated to this. So here's our link. So if I do this, even though it is a link, it operates as a link, it behaves as a link, I want it to continue behaving like a link. I'm going to make it look like a button. So I'm going to say, hey, class button. And we're going to call it a button accent because I want it to really pop. Let it pop. Pop. Pop, pop, pop. And accent is totally not a class in our world, apparently. What happens if I say primary? I thought this was a thing. Did I call it secondary instead of accent? Would be something I would do. Okay, so we do have the primary, and that totally works. So why did accent not work? Let's go find that out. And we're going to snooze that ad for the time being, because I'm not done. Twitch. We're not done yet. We'll find a good pausing point. Like, for example, when my coffee cup's empty, or when Bolhebiov tells me there's a fresh cup of coffee downstairs. Hint if you're still listening. Anywho, I'm not subtle. Blog contributor. We were looking. Oh yeah, I was going to look at why accent didn't work. So that's going to be in our base styles. Somewhere we have button links. So if I look for dot button, we should find, oh, look at that, a dot button. And somehow we don't have primary or accent. That's interesting. We just have dot button. So there, that's weird. Because totally accent made it near, weird. Hold on. That's a not disabled. Cursor, hover, visible, not disabled. Outline, primary outline. We don't have an accent. Why? We're going to fix that. We're also going to fix this because there's new ways of doing this now that are far less restrictive, like using where. So we're gonna say that is going to be a where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? No? Anybody? Y'all used to play that game, or did I just age myself? Okay. So that's our where, and then we have a where not disabled. Cool. Why do we have a where not, and yeah, we can, oh, because outline. Okay. I'm gonna put you in here. I think, I'm not liking this, Sam. I am. I do not like green eggs in him. Watch me break all the things. That's okay. We're going to put, because I really want to, where primary. Actually, if we move all of this in here, because this is all just like, we can simplify this a lot. A lot. Outline, primary outline. And now we need a primary, we need an accent. So this is going to be, this would be a little bit easier to read. Is, that's fine, we don't need it. Accent. So our border color in this case is going to be accent. And our background color is going to be accent. And that is that bright yellow. And so we're going to do the primary, we're going to do accent contrast color, which I do believe we have, but we'll double check just for good measure. And we're going to get rid of this extra tick that showed up right here for no good reason. But I do believe that does exist, just for good measure. For good measure. Accent. We have a call to action border color. We should probably use that in our accent thing. I'm going to keep that in mind. Primary. We do not have a primary contrast. We do. We have a primary contrast. We do not have an accent contrast. We're going to fix that. We're going to have an accent color contrast. And we're going to take that primary as our accent color. Bad cookie. We're going to take this color and put it there as our contrast, because blue and yellow look good together. And that is probably enough contrast. We'll double check that here in a second. But that should do the trick. So, and we probably want, we'll clean it up. So now if I do, that should do the thing. It should do the thing. Did it not do the thing? What did we change that to? Button, primary. Well, now we broke button primary. That's brilliant. So I did something. We did a where. Let's find out. Where's our buttons? There we go. A button. I think what we need is that. Boop. Boopage, the snootage. And we'll let that refresh. Hey, look at that. Primary now works. Our buttons are back. We have a hover. They look fantastic. Now, what happens if we do that pretty accent one I just created? Because that would be super cool to have an accent button that is really bright and colorful. CTA action. Let's do accents. So, what happens here? What happens here is the fact that we only did the contrast thingamabob in one color theme and not the other. But so far we're looking pretty good. So let's go fix that. So we did the contrast here with the blue and the yellow. Excellent color contrast. And we are going to go do the same here in our dark mode. Accent color. Accent color contrast. Boop. Boop. Gimme colors. Pretty colors. Gimme. Ta-da! So we now have a contrast thingamabob. Now we do also want to see how we have the CTA color thing for the border. We actually want to reuse that because that is what we use in other places. So we are going to keep our consistency, gasp, and actually go and reuse that wherever we put it. There it is. We're not going to use accent. We're going to use that. It should be the same theoretically, but just for maintainability purposes, we're going to stick to actually using the correct style. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I keep noticing this flash of white, like when I reload, and that is annoying. And so we are going to fix that as best as we can, because that is going to drive me bonkers. Knowing that, I don't know about y'all, I prefer dark mode. It seems like the universe has gone to preferring dark mode as a mode of operandum. So let's, or at least in the tech world, which the likelihood of people reading my blog posts, let's see. CSS parent sectors, CSS subgrid, manipulating text layout are probably going to be techies. Let's go ahead and fix that, shall we? So to fix that, we're going to go to our skeleton.liquid, and this HTML is going to take a style equals var background. Actually, background would be good to have as, you know, the key on that, but you know, details. Background, no. Why did we, oh, we missed it did a break and I forgot to undo the thing. That's okay. I forgot to snooze it. Well, there we go. So we have a background and we're going to give it a default because the background won't necessarily have loaded. So we're going to go to style. We're going to go find out what that default should be by looking at our background color for dark mode specifically. And we're going to take that and we're going to put that there. And we're going to put that there. And hopefully that should limit, or at least decrease, the flash. And now the other thing we're going to want to do is make sure that we are setting dark and light on HTML, which I think we are. So if once that builds, there we go. That totally works. And we're going to do, where's our text? What are we doing for text? Because you're loading primary, danger shadow, disabled typography color. And we're going to do color typography color with, again, whatever default we're using for dark. So if I go to typography color, we're going to take that. We're going to go to our skeleton. And we're going to do the same thing for our color, and var that, comma, that should do the trick theoretically. And so now please quit blipping on the dark and blinding me every single time we reload. Thank you. Now it does seem to be, let's see, I want to see theme. Okay. Theme. Where are we setting this? Probably in script. There we go. And script is probably, if I'm not mistaken, I'm probably, if I remember correctly, setting it on body, which we're going to switch to doing it on theme, set theme, go to definition, key document. No, I am doing it on HTML. Okay, So why did it not take? Okay, let's go back to the skeleton. Background color and then color. RGBA. I wonder if it needs to be a hex on the default. That probably is true. It's probably, I don't necessarily want white like that, but let's. Let's do FA. Show me, show me, show me. Much better. Okay. That actually blips nicely. And then if you're in light mode, right, and I refresh, okay, you get a dark blip, which is far less egregious than if you're in light mode. So now with that fixed, because that was going to make me want to scorch my eyes out, I've gotten to where I just get annoyed with that. So I'm fixing it in all of my projects, because I didn't used to do that. But, you know, live, learn, grow. That whole gimmick. I don't remember where we're at on this one. I know where we're at. We're at my coffee cup being empty. So we're going to take a quick break so I can refill my coffee cup. Not that I need more coffee, but that's what we're going to be doing anyway. So I will see you back here in like 2 minutes. Stretch, grab yourselves a beverage, and I will see you back here very shortly. And we're back. What if I put, you know, actually switch the mic on? It does help after a fashion. Oh, look, Twitch is calling me unstable again. I love how Twitch tells me my connection's unstable and like YouTube tells me it's perfectly fine and great. I don't know who to believe anymore. I think Twitch has just gotten a habit of calling me out, and that's the end of that. But back to our button, which right now is very much to the left, which I don't love. I'm going to make this guy full screen. So we're going to go into our, or full width, I should say. We're going to go into our CTA class over here, which is our container. And that header, which is in H3, is going to display itself, is going to text align center. And our button, so it's going to be dot actions, dot button. We're going to do a width 100%, which I believe we already kind of blocked it out. We'll see. As soon as it refreshes, we might have to give it a display block to do that. Yeah, display block. Blockity block, block, block. No? The it's are we flexed? No, we're not flexed. Dot button. Dot button. We're in CTA. Oh, because I did action singular and not plural. That would do it. We weren't blocked anyway, so we'd have that because you can't give a button by default is inline, and yeah. And we're going to also text align center that. The other thing I'm going to do for the header, it's not much of an issue here, but if we have a slightly longer header, it would be, is we're going to be doing a white space balance. No, not white space. Text wrap. Sorry, text wrap balance. Text wrap balance. Balance. I can spell. There we go. Ta-da. And we're going to do the same thing to, actually, we're going to do that at the main level to the buttons. Might as well. Where's my buttons? Control find dot button. That's button and a dot button. We are going to add that there with a semicolon. It helps the, you know, it helps things compile. Just say it. So now we have our call to action with our title and our content. So now we need to deal with our pretty Calendly link and widget thing that we started earlier and kind of squirreled on and never actually dealt with. So back to that. We have a Calendly liquid. Oh, the other thing we didn't do is set a bunch of things as conditionals, because right now if I take the image off, we're going to have a broken image, which we definitely don't want, but did not require in our schema. So if we will go back to our schema, let's finish that off really quick. If we look at our schema, none of this crap's required. So we need to write some things to make sure that this actually behaves itself accurately. So the first thing we need to do is we need to only put the figure in if we have an actual image URL, right? So we're going to do an if. This is going to be, we're going to use at, it's not at if. I've been writing way too much Angular. This is going to end up being a, screw if I can remember how to do this. This thing, if cta.image.url. Now we are not in JavaScript, so we have to do a dot length. Dot length greater than 0. We are going to do this. That is where our figure comes into play. And then we got to do our end if. And now we want to go ahead and only add the fig caption if and only if we actually have one. So we're going to do the same thing. If cta image dot attribution new attribution dot length greater than 0. And that is going to take our fig caption. Figure caption there. Okay. Then, and so that takes care of that aspect of it. Right. Now we need to deal with the header. We only want the H3 if we actually have the header. So guess what we're going to do here? It's almost like it's rinse, lather, repeat. Header dot length greater than 0, and we're going to put that there. Now the cool thing is if header is null, this will not barf, it will just simply result with false, which is cool, so I don't have to worry about that. We're going to do the same thing with description. At if cta dot description. Now, before I save this, let's go ahead and open like somebody else's where we didn't add all this crap, just so you can see the chaos and pandemonium that ensues. We end up with something like this, which does not look great. So that's what we're trying to fix, essentially, is what happens when you don't have a CTA. So same thing with the description. Where was I? I was on description there. And now we're going to do the same thing for the action. Excuse me. If cta dot link URL Now what we're going to do here, because we don't want to end up in a situation where we have a link that does not have a label. Otherwise, our users don't know what we're going to link to, which would be bad. What we're going to do is go ahead and put a default here of cta.linkURL. In other words, if you don't give me a label, I'm going to go ahead and display the actual like URL that you gave me, right? These need greaters than zeros. Greaters than zeros. Okay. All right, we're starting to look pretty good. And the widget, and that can stay because we're gonna definitely do something else with that. Now notice that we still have a box, and that's not cool. So what we want to do is get rid of that box. Now the box is going to be empty. And this is going to be very true as soon as I get rid of this paragraph tag over here, because that is artificially there. I'm going to put an if around it for the time being because it's very artificially there. Hello, hello, Mohammed and Arsh, welcome to the chat. So we're gonna add that, and we're gonna do if cta.calendly URL that length greater than 0. Okay, and then we're going to add that, and we're gonna add that, and we're gonna add that. Why is my link not scrolling? There we go. Hey, it's coffee beans. And we're going to end it. Okay. So, well, what we'll notice is we still have this empty box. So over here, we've now nicely parameterized all of our things somewhere. Should have our call there. No, that's the blog post. We don't care about that. We won't care about this. We've nicely parameterized our things that should show up do, the things that don't. However, we still have a box here and a padding. So what we're going to do with this box and this padding is that we're going to say, hey, if empty, because there is such a thing as empty, we want padding 0. We want to go ahead and display. Go bye-bye. So if you're empty, we're going to go ahead and not display anything. So once we reload, we'll see that this did not work. Why are we not empty? Thank you for the follow. Chocolate poofer. Apologize if I messed that one up. And welcome to the chat, Omar Ali. Let's go ahead and figure out why this is technically not empty, because it should display as empty. And that is definitely a thing. Why is it not empty? What about it is not empty? We have a CTA and there is nothing in it other than I wonder if I can't no display none should just work. Is it because of the white space? Should be obnoxious. But possible, I suppose. Not necessarily. I mean, it should. Let's try something different. Instead of empty, let's do a border none. Instead of a display none, let's do a border none. To see if empty. And then if that doesn't work, we'll go ahead and go check on how empty works. But empty is definitely a thing. All right, let's double check how empty works. It's got to be the white space. Like, that's got to be. So in order to get rid of some of that white space, what we can do is do this for sure. Because that basically tells it not to keep any of the white space involved. I think I got them all. Let's see if that fixes our problem. The inner ones don't matter at that point because we have the outer ones, and The outer ones don't keep white space. The inner ones won't either, I don't think. Ta-da, now it's gone. So yes, it was in fact the white space, because see, now this doesn't have any white in between, and our entire div has no border. So now instead of that, I can just do a display none. Like if you're empty, don't display. And that will prevent that extra margin and padding from any margin and padding that might exist or take effect from doing so. Now it's totally gone, right? But it is totally available here. So that allows me to go ahead and, based on the fact that the container is empty, say, hey, guess what? Don't show this container because it's got nothing in it. Right. So that allows me to go ahead and do that. So now that we have our conditionals in, let's fix this widget thing. So back to our Calendly. What we essentially want to set is, we know that we have this Calendly URL thing, this. And what we want to do is for that to go ahead and populate this. And so in order for that to populate this, we're going to set a variable. We're going to say, actually, quite frankly, we don't even need to do that. If I reuse this, then we can use it in other places as long as there is a Calendly URL somewhere in the schema at the same level, which would be fine. So let's go ahead and do, actually it doesn't matter where it is, it would just mean the template would have to deal with it, which is fine up to a point. So let's go ahead and do, if we have a Calendly URL, what we want to do is, this is going to end up being, not this we want to keep, it's this URL that we want to get rid of, and this is going to end up being Calendly URL. And even though this isn't a script tag, this should theoretically work. Our get element by ID in this case is up there. It's demo URL. We're never going to have two on the same page. I feel fairly comfortable doing that way. But instead of Calendly demo, we're just going to call it Calendly. Doesn't have to be demo. UTM content is going to be Calendly. UTM term Calendly. And we're going to save that puppy. Now that we have that, we have this, we're basically passing in, right, this Calendly URL. However, over here, it is technically CTA Calendly URL. So what we're going to do is the same way that we defined a variable up here, we're going to do it the same way down there, and it will leak through the templates or pass through the templates, however you want to call it. And we're going to say assign Calendly URL to CTA Calendly URL. And then in here, we're going to use a, it's going to be a include, and this is at what level? It is under widgets. So we're going to say widgets, and I think there's a parent. Let me double check that. Maybe, maybe not. Widgets is where includes widgets. We're fine. And then we're going to do, we'll be able to do Calendly. Save that puppy. I do need to add dot liquid at the end. That would be good. That would be good. Okay. Let's see if that fixes our dealywhack. Well, we have a lot of space, but no import. So I did, when I went to find that URL, and maybe that's an issue with the URL I'm using, I went to my Calendly and I just went and found whatever that 30-minute is. So when I'm assuming I need to do is figure out what the actual embed URL is. And that is not there. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's figure out what that embed URL is. So if I do that and I go to the 30-minute, maybe under edit, location, duration, setting, host, date, range, yada yada, no. And do no. How do we do the embeds? I want to embed. No. Copy link, share. There we go. Maybe under share. There we go. Add to website. Inline embed is what I'm wanting. There we go. Oh, we can choose the colors. Awesome. So in this particular case, let's pick the current colors we have here, right? So if I go to styles and I go find my theme colors, now there's obviously not going to be a light mode and a dark mode in this case, so we're gonna have to figure that out. Background, I'm going to assume dark mode even in light mode because that's going to be far less egregious. So we're going to do background color, that. Text color, where's my typography color? Let's move this to being a hex. There we go. Text color. It did not let me do that. All right, we'll do it white. And then button link color. I'm gonna do button link. I'm going to assume. I'm going to make an assumption that it's going to use the same text color. So we're going to want something that is going to work well with, we may have to do something darker on that. Let's go find, and so now our URL is this. Is it going to let me take just the, yes it is. Da 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 da. And so if I do that, and I go into my theme over here, my 11D, my, not 11D, my Calendly. And actually, no. Let's just hard code it here for a second to get the widget to work, because I probably just have it wrong in my data. And if that's all it is, I don't need to like play with it in the CMS for, 10 minutes to figure that out. Let's figure this out first, and then I can always fix the data post in the actual CMS. So we're going to do control find Calendly, because we already know we have one, right? So that is a heck of a thing. Oh, I have extra garbage here. So we could set the styles in there. That works. Cool. Let's do quotes correctly, shall we? Quote, quote, quote. All right. That is still not doing the trick. Why? Why? Inspect. Do we have, let's look at the console. Is there one error? Syntax unexpected token. Okay, so we do have, so it is not liking, it may not be liking this, which is likely. But I know I've done this before. Did I do that in the skeleton? No. see, I do this, LD, and I do that. Oh, but I put quotes around it. That's what we're doing. So if I go to Calendly, oh, and here we have quotes around it. So I just need to put quotes around that. That's the magical problem, I think. Let's find out. Let's find out. Oh, we're not throwing errors, but oh, maybe. Hey, look at that. And we have a Calendly. That looks really cool. That looks really stinking awesome. And if I go full width, that still looks really freaking awesome. I'm not hating on that. That is really tall. Inspect. Why so much white space? Let's change that to that. Let's change this to that. Let's figure out why so much white space. Like all of this white space. All right, there's our iframe. Our iframe needs constrained massively. Okay. So it has a height, a width. So let's find out what's up with that. We have a lazy data height. That height may be our issue. Let's look at what Calendly says. The height should be on that. Div data Calendly widget data. Oh, they're not doing it at an iframe anymore. Data URL. They've completely changed their embed. Let's copy this and find out what we can do to make this more better. Okay, so this is what they currently have. So we have the class. All right. The data URL, which is the whole kit and caboodle. We have styles. Oops. And then we have a script with a type, a script, an async, and a script. Cool. All right. So that's very different from what we're doing here, which is fine. I do want to keep this background color. That can come into, so essentially this is the part that we want to parameterize in to make it really simple on people. Let's make this really dumbly simple on people. Cool. And then let's see what happens when we do that. Now my URL, the way we're passing it in, probably has some extra gross in it that we need to contend with, which is, yeah, because we said we were not dealing with that and we're not going to require that. Okay. So that should still work. But we still have some extra height issues. It is coming from that ID class Calendly. And that is coming from here. So if I nuke this inline style, because we can handle that much better somewhere else. What's going to happen there? It is still adding it. Why is it adding this height? Really don't like the fact that it's adding this height. Where is it coming from? Probably their script. Which is not ideal. If I get rid of this height, what happens? All right, we're gonna have to contend with that height being there. I don't love it. It is a min height that they had on there, so I can potentially put a max height, which would be fine because they had that with height. I'm gonna put a max height. Let's say 500 px. What happens if I do that? Oh, look at that. We get to do some spam ban hammering. No spamming the chat. Thank you. So if we do 5, did that actually do anything? It doesn't seem to be. Yeah. Only inline widget. So why, in the name of everything that is holy, does it want that style and then nuke it on my behalf? That's okay. We're not going to put any inline styles because we don't like those. But in our styles, just for good measure, we're going to go and add what happens if I do that? Will it maintain it? Or do something gross with it? Class. It got rid of the class. Well, that's poo-poo. Fine. Be that way. I mean, I could use the Calmly inline widget class, but can we not? Interesting. Why is it not grabbing? That is very interesting. I'm confused. Is this an SCSS behavior? What do you mean, what is an SCSS behavior? Why is it not applying it? The thing you're troubleshooting. No, I'm trying to figure out why Calendly specifically has a script that is nuking everything I'm doing or not doing to this particular container. So this is the Calendly embed seemingly, but that doesn't make sense because I'm like utilizing the ID I'm like, it's got an ID, Calendly. I'm giving it a max height, and it is not coming up in the CSS at all, even though technically that exists on my code, right? It's not like it's an iframe or anything like that. Here's the class, and see how the class is getting itself removed somehow. And not only that, but it's somehow failing to apply my style, which is doubly odd. Hi Manny Kendon, welcome to the stream. So I'm not, this is very odd. And this is our styles.liquid, so it's getting applied everywhere. I've recompiled correctly, so this is not a compile error. I do have a compile error. Whoa, I lied. I have a compile error. Okay, let's see what's up with the compile error. That could be our problem. Let's recompile. Having trouble rendering liquid template, common liquid, unexpected token Calendly file project include. Okay. So we're having problems with the include. Why? What did I do? Oh, because that at this particular point in time is very much a string. I'm being dumb. Hold on. Please hold. Where's my block contributors? There is my block contributors. There is the URL I was supposed to fix, which I did. This needs to be that. But that. And that should fix our compile error, which theoretically should make our Sass compile, because it's all one big compiler, and should make everything suddenly work a little bit better. Maybe, possibly. I don't know. We'll find out. Hey, we compiled. Magic. Okay. That helped. So now, if we go back to closing the terminal and going back to our Calendly widget, which now I stripped the height, so now it's got not enough height, of course. So what did it have before as a height? So let's not be dumb. There we go. So it had a height of 700, which we can probably adjust. This is our style.css. We're going to ignore that for a second, because that's probably getting applied now. Which, if the embed had told me to do 700, it probably has a good reason to tell me 700. So let's go ahead and apply the actual 700. That might prevent us from having the ugly scroll bar, which would be nice. It did not prevent us from having the ugly scroll bar. So we need to go more than 700, because we don't want the freaking ugly scroll bar. So if we don't want the freaking ugly scroll bar, we want to go, what was it in the thing? Data, background, Stallman. No, it did say height 7, which is what we have. But scroll bar, ooh. Like scroll bar, yucky. So let's say 9. Let's see if that gets rid of it. Okay, we're not quite there yet. Okay, so 9. Goody. Maybe. Guess hear my slumber, so call me maybe. No. That got rid of the ugly scroll bar. Cool. We can probably go, okay, 9:30. See if we can't, see how close we can get to the edge of that little game. Bingo. That looks pretty good. That looks nice. And now, so now if I say I try a meeting with myself. Casual event. I wonder if it'll let me do that. It totally did. That totally worked. All right. Cool. Sweet. That works. So Thursday at 3 I made a meeting with myself. No, Thursday the 3rd at 11 I made a meeting with myself. Cool. So that totally works and runs. Sweetness. Now we've kind of noticed that like we've got some spacing issues here. So let's go ahead and deal with that, shall we? And to do that, we're gonna go to our CTA. Now this works. We know this works. This is great. Let's deal with our spacing issues. So I can get rid of this. I can get rid of all of these crapula. Okay. Save that. Get rid of that. And now in our CTA here, CTA, that's our styles. I want the blog contributor. What we're gonna want is basically every child of our CTA, every immediate child. So if I take any immediate child, no matter what it is, I want to do a margin just margin 1 rem auto. It doesn't have, if it doesn't have a width, it's going to be fine. That'll center things, which is fine. If they do have a width, which is perfectly fine. But now we'll see that between the schedule and the example and whatever else is, we're going to get some breathing room we didn't have before. And I don't have to go and enumerate every last little bloody thing. It's just going to take all of the basically immediate children and go ahead and add some margin to them, regardless of what's in there. And if there isn't anything, then it's not going to do anything per se. So now let's clean up our data. And now theoretically, this should still, which does not have a CTA on this one, should still look great. Cool. So let's see what happens if, let's say I do go ahead and put this Calendly as my thing, and go ahead and add some awards and recognitions to my account, because that would not be dumb. And see what that looks like with all the things. So if I go back to the content, get rid of this image that has nothing to do with anything other than my testing, however cool it was. We want to get rid of this label because again had nothing to do with anything other than my testing. We're going to keep that. The thing is, we're going to get rid of that because that is basically all we need in this context. So that should take care of the CTA aspect. Now the next piece that we need to do is add some recognitions. So I can go ahead and select image. I don't know, we'll just browse for it because I don't know where it is at the moment. Those are team ones. Oh, there we go. We can select this one. Now the key is, I'm actually going to start with the web one because I got the web one first. Where's web? Web select. Now, when did I get the web one? I think it was in 2019. Let's find out. I think I have them on my personal website, so let's figure that out. Nope, that's my email. That's a cluster. We're gonna ignore that. It's not where I wanted to go. That is where I want to go. We will go, okay. Let's see what we have to play with here. Boop. Okay, Angular Web 2018. All right. So we're gonna do that. That's web. Copy. Paste. That is, I don't know what day. We're just gonna say 1. I think it was 12. I think I got in November or no, October or November. Actually, if I do, this is gonna, I don't remember. We're just gonna, it doesn't matter because over here it's just gonna display as the month anyway. So we can put, oh no, it does display. Shit, I have to look it up. So I got it about the same time as Michael got his Firebase. So I'm gonna assume December. We'll have to look these up. So fuck if I know. I wonder if my profile actually says as much because that's handled by the GDE. So maybe they actually have it written on there. No, I want to see my own profile. Yeah, it does tell me. Google Web Tech. Yeah, that's when I got it. That's not when I originally got it. Yeah. That's not. I wonder where it would tell me when I'd have to look up my emails. Shit. All right, December 5th. Oh, thank you, Bullhaybath, for knowing. Can you look up when I got my other two? Do you remember by any chance? And my MVP? I mean, if you're in the business of looking up dates for me. All right. So December 5th. 20. Wait, mine is December 5th. Yours is December 11th. Oh, mine is December 11th. Okay. You actually beat me at this game. December 11th, 2018. End date, I'm still technically that. So that is my, what are we gonna name it? I don't know. What should we name it? What did he name it? Google Developer Expert Web. All right, we'll do the same thing. Keep it with the consistency. Google Developer Expert Web. And then we have, let's save that cookie. And then we're gonna add, I'm just gonna add that one. I need to look up the dates. I mean, I'm not gonna make full hype it off. Look them all up for me. However sweet the gesture is. I think I can look mine own up because I got lazy on mine and just put on my personal profile. I just put years. Or on my personal website, I just put years, so I didn't have to play this game. Anyway, we have one that should be good enough. Let's go ahead and check how this looks with a little bit of everything on there. Let's go ahead and pull the data. And if this works, we'll be in really good shape. Come on. Come on. All right, let's look at this using, I'm going to go back to Polypane and see how we look like in here. Simply because I can all three of the views side by side. Oh, it's loading the other ones. Cool. That looks good. We use cookies. Yeah. I wonder if I can get rid of this banner cookie thing. Words and recognitions would show underneath. Looks good. That looks good. All right. How do we get rid of the banner cookie thing? Can we get rid of the banner cookie thing? That is a very good question. Let's find out. Hide event type. Hide cookie banner. That is in the URL. So if I do hide GDPR cookie banner 1, I don't know if that's a good idea to do or not, but we're gonna do it until somebody with more legal acumen than me tells me otherwise. Because that is fun. Like, I wish there was a, like, I understand the cookie thing. I just really wish there was a better solution to the cookie thing than banners everywhere and all that fun shit. So let's go to, that was on the Calendly. And that was part of that. And so now if we do that and we go to go back to Polypane. Where's Polypane? There we go. And we refresh the Polypanes. I really need to change that picture. I really don't like that picture, but that's okay. All right, we're looking pretty good. This does not make me happy. This works well. This works well. This, however, does not work well. So let's figure out why that's being done. I know we had a min width on something. We had a min width on, there it is. If we get rid of that min width altogether, how does it behave? Let's go back to Polypane. So Calendly itself does not behave very well. However, in the grand scheme of things, it just doesn't behave well on that small of a thing. Kind of wondering if, let's see, I want to see something. How realistic is 320 as a width on a phone these days? That is a very good question. If I go and do this and we play, what's some phone sizes? Let's play with some phone sizes. iPhone SE. That works. It's not awesome, but it works. It's a little bit of overlap. I can still pick a 9 though and be okay. Yeah, it's functional. It's not ideal. I don't love it, but it's functional. Don't know why this magically showed up. It's just enough to make it want a little bit more height. So if we go 950, that should solve that. It does not actually solve that. So there's no real reason to go much more. It's not ideal. SEs are kind of old. I don't know. iPhone 12 works great. No worries there on the 12. What's some older phones that are still, what's some narrow phones that are still in circulation? Pixel 7. I don't know how old a Pixel 7 is, but that's not bad. That functions. 8. Not ideal, but workable. Totally works. Huge. Nest Hub. That's funny. It actually works. I don't know when that would actually come into play for this, but sure, why not? Zenfold works. Okay. Not great. Not great. And that's fairly recent. Okay. Starting to think maybe, and this is going to have to be for a different stream because we're running out of time and it is getting late here, but I'm starting to think that maybe if on a mobile that's narrow enough, we go for the pop-up version versus if it's on a mobile. So if I go, let me see, if I go for the embed, right, and I go share, and we look at add a link that opens a pop-up, add a floating button that opens a pop-up text. If I do that, what's the difference in the code? Init pop-up widget. So that's very different. That is very different. So if we wanted to do that, we'd have to consider the button versus the embed. And the button would get, by doing the button, we would regain a little bit of width simply because of that, which I'm not opposed to doing. I'm kind of thinking we should go that route. Simply because it's just kind of gross. It's just not working, right? So if I go back, we have, I don't want it floating. So that's gonna be our, so if I copy that, let's go back over here, figure out what this looks like. Snooze the freaking, yeah. Really want to get this. So this is fine, it's just the style sheet. This is our script, which is fine. Okay. This is our link with an on-click. You've got to be fucking kidding me. Why a link with an on-click? Why must you do that to me? Why not just a button with an on-click? We're gonna make that a button. See if it still works if I make it a button. Button type equals button. Button. Now why? Oh, because of it's not liking. That's the, my syntax highlighting is having a bit of a moment with this. What we're going to do to handle, because 11D, because we have quotes and quotes. Actually, this is pure HTML, we're okay. So what we can do is take this, because we're in HTML, we're not in JavaScript at that point. So we can take that. Oh, but we are, because we're in the on-click. Yeah. Yuck. We're in the on-click. I mean, I guess we could do, that's our script. We can add a second script, which is, We could. Here's where I know what we're gonna do. We're gonna do document get element by ID. Calendly. Yeah, not what I meant to do. Why? 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 Why are you being mean to me? There we go. No. Why are we being mean? There we go. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do that. We're going to do. So it's gonna be our const Calendly button equals add about listener click click because that will solve my problem. I don't really need the event. I can remember how to do a legitimate online. So then we can do that there. And then that becomes that in theory. Assuming I still know how to do a non-click. And then we can get rid of this entirely, which is going to have issues, I think. Okay, and then we can get rid of this. And so now what happens? Because now I can style my button because it's just a button, right? I can style it the way I want to, the way my website is used to. And why it was a link, even though we're doing an action, is beyond me, but it is what it is. Okay. So that's still, oh, it's still lit. Okay, so schedule a meeting with me. Did nothing. Console. Cannot read property leading add event listener. Okay, oh, because helps if I actually add the ID. Maybe. And now this script comes maybe after the HTML. That would be wise. There we go. Maybe. Alright, so ad starts in 4 minutes. No, it does not. Dismiss. Dismiss. Oh, can I not snooze? I've used all my snoozes. Yay! That works. Okay. It's not great. I don't know that it's any better. Is it better? I don't know. What do we think? Is it actually better? I don't know that it's any better. It's at least less. It's got less room. It's more obvious. Not loving the styles on it, but maybe we can do something about that. Okay, so that solves part of the thing. If we let's go back to now this can be a class equals button. That's it. And that can be cool. We're gonna do that. Sweet. All right, so that totally works. That opens it up. Now, let me do Let me get rid of this for a second on the width. Okay. We have a massive issue here in terms of why. Let me close it and see if it calculates it better from this standpoint. If it's being done because of the dev tool, no, it's just being dumb on the height. All right, why is it being dumb on the height? And can I adjust that in any way, shape, or form? This is going to be this iframe. There's the iframe. All right. So that's the spinner. Who cares? This is the iframe. On the iframe, there's the pop-up, Calendly pop-up, Calendly overlay. So Calendly pop-up, is it taking up? No, it is not taking up the whole height. Max width, max height, position, top transform width. Well, height, why would it have a height auto? If I do a height 100%, does that fix our issue? No. If I do a 100 view height, does that fix our issue? No. Why? Why the f not? That's full height. Why does that not? Allow that to get a full height. Position to transform none. Okay. Max height. Oh, why? Oh, why? Gross. Gross. All right, so now if I unclick this grossness here that somebody wrote, then my concern is if you need to scroll the page, sometimes that's funky on a pop-up. Yeah. All right, we're gonna take a quick break for half a second because this ad's about to start. So I might as well refill my coffee and think about this for a second. All right, I will be right back. There we go. All right, so back to this mayhem and the fact that they have an important in there, which is really, really gross. So if I do a height of 100%, if I do a right auto, that actually behaves pretty well, right? That's not terrible. So why is it doing that? So we need to kill this max height, which is really dumb, with our own freaking CSS. So let's see if we can do it via styles. Or if it's going to get superseded. Oops, not what I meant to do. Because this is why we don't use important, guys. Because in order to override their important, I'm going to have to do my important. And we're going to have to play specificity games more than likely, which is not ideal. Yeah, we're going to have to play specificity games. Inspect. So that's the Calendly pop-up. Fine. Calendly close, overlay, Calendly pop-up. So it's going to div. There we go. Is that going to fix it, or do we going to have to get more specific than that? Maybe. Yeah, we are. All right. Inspect. Are we even hitting it at all? Is the question. Iframe. Pop up. So we're getting superseded. Styles. Calendly pop up. We should. That's the widget. Where's ours? So you're not appearing in this game. Why? Div.calendly pop-up, div calendly pop-up, max height. If I put the exclamation mark on the right side, it helps, although I don't think that it's going to do what I think we needed to do. This is gross. Why do people do this? Inspect. Okay, so where's our pop-up? Okay. Widget, styles. They probably never read one of your books. Probably not. Okay, so it's here and we are being superseded. So we got to get more specific than that. So to get more specific than that, we're going to do Calendly-overlay. Calendly over. We're going to do that. See if that gets us, because that technically makes us more specific than the widget.css. So even though it comes after us, we should, that should get us somewhere. Make me more, there we go. Now we're talking. Okay. So now that we've fixed that, we can fix the overlay just a little bit. So let's look at what we look like across the board. Okay. We're looking good across the board. That's as good as it's going to get. However, as we can see, like this, I don't like the whatchamacallit. I'm going to make the okay, so we still have this, which doesn't need to be. So what is this? Let's figure out what that is. So if we go wider here, yeah, we have this game. Why this game? Is it just the height? What height is this? Inspect. That is that. What are we doing here? This is the overlay, that's fine. This is the pop-up. And unset the max height. Cool. Min width, max width, that's fine. Transform with height 90%. Okay, so that's not actually terrible. 90%, and that's how we're ending up with that. Okay, I can live with that. If we undo the max width, what happens? Not bad. I don't see why we would not handle the max width. Why do we need this? Why? Okay. Let's get rid of the max width. So it's Calendly pop-up overlay, so we're fine here. So max width on set. Don't be a butt. Don't be a butt. Don't be a butt. So let's go back to here. Not bad. Not bad at all. And so now if I make these not quite as tall, free handle, let's look at how we handle that scroll. It is not handling the unscroll. All right, but this isn't bad. This isn't bad at all. All right, I don't know, did it work on the, did it work? Yeah, that worked. Okay. So now what we want to do is kind of fix this. There's this overlay thing. And so what I think I want to do there is if we kind of inspect this, right? We're on it's this Calendly overlay, right? And what we're going to do on this Calendly overlay is we're going to do a so it's not background, I think it's a background blur. I can't remember the property off the top of my head. I think it's background blur. Backdrop filter blur. There we go. Yeah, we're gonna do a backdrop filter blur. So if I go here and we do what's on the overlay proper, not the pop-up, I'm gonna do a backdrop filter blur FPX. That should help with kind of obscuring, like giving it some pizzazz and kind of some finesse in the background rather than just the gray. Nice. Now we've got the blur, we've got the load, and we're looking good. All right, let's see what this looks like in light mode. Still works great. Nice. All right, now we're looking good. So now from there, let's go back to dark mode. The last piece I want to do is see how we have this button to, now we got to style this button to also handle itself appropriately, because that is never not going to be a call to action realistically. So I'm going to take some liberties on that count. So poo-poo you, Calendly, for making me do that. I'm gonna put a comment on that because next time I look at that, I'm gonna wonder what possessed me to do that in the first place. Having to override Calendly is important. Sad face. Do I have an angry face? I do have an angry face. Ta-da. Poo-poo you. And then we're going to do, actually I could have done a poop emoji. Anyway, back to our Calendly liquid thing. We do have a button now. I'm gonna call it button accent. I'm gonna do, we can actually, in order not to have to write too much on the button itself, so that it can stay fairly neutral into where we go ahead and put it in. what I'm going to do is we're going to leave that here as just a button, but then inside our blog contributor, that's going to go, so this Calendly CTA, right, is actually going to go over here inside of our div.action. So it means that we're going to have to check A or B, right? We're going to have to check that we have either a link URL, that link, or this piece. So now we have to add the check. So we're checking that you have either the link or the Calendly, right? So now here we're doing the check on. So we need to do if, that's fine. We have the if and the end if. So this needs to be indented for the assign. There we go. Now we do need to add an if around the anchor tag. So we're going to do if oops, wrong lever. If CTA dot link URL dot length greater than 0, then all of this. Oops, wrong lever. There we go. And then the other piece we're going to want to do here now is we could potentially have both of those links in our action, right? So I'm going to rename actions plural because there could be more than one. And in our CSS, contributors, we need to find our action. So that's going to be our actions with 100% display block aligned center, sure. But what we're also going to want to do is we're going to display flex direction column. Oops. Gap 1 rem. And that should allow, like, if you have both of the buttons, to go ahead and work. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to say that anything with a dot button or that is a button, I say where button or dot button not disabled, although it shouldn't happen. We're going to do a background color var accent color color var accent color contrast, and then we're gonna have to deal with the hover as well. I just saw an arrow go through. Why does it not like the where? Having trouble with liquid if or not. It's in here. End if. Oh, I forgot the end if. Yeah, that's not how that works. Oh, and we do need to add, oh no, we're inside, we're fine. We're inside the thingamabob, so the fact that it won't affect our empty. We're good. End if. There we go. Compile, please. Did we compile correctly this time? Whee! Yes, we did. Right. So now we're here. We're good. Oh, we have a lot of extra vertical because we added that margin. But we do look good. We get our thing. That looks good. The hover looks fine. Cool. We do have extra because I added that margin on all of the children. We do have that extra vertical padding now that we don't necessarily need. So in here, so see, because I added all of the children. All of the children. Nope, wrong. This one. All of the children have a margin 1 rem and top. So now our padding can be 0 1 rem because we won't have that issue with the margin anymore. Because we have the margin, so we're not going to be doubling up margin and padding if we do that. Oh yeah. All right. Cool. So that puts a lid on that little story. Let's double check that our MT still looks good. Our MT still looks great. No problems there. So we are in good shape. So let's go ahead and commit this so that we can go ahead and call that ticket done, shall we? Then I'll have to figure out what I need to do next week. Yuck. Always a fun time when you have to figure out what you need to do. So that can go away. That can go away. I need to find the ticket because I don't know what ticket number it is. And right now I'm dealing in our main branch, which is probably dangerous, but you know, details. There we go. There it is. Let's double check that we did everything. We did have the chat. Select as CTA, the page, schema website, yeah, or a widget that all Calendly or contact form. Yeah, so the widget can take a contact form will be good. That because that's part of the I think. Do we have a contact widget? No, I'm second guessing myself. Let's find out. Can we put a contact widget on my thing? Bottom widgets. Contact. We do have a contact form, so we should be able to do it. Let's double check what that looks like just for good measure. Why can I not save? Oh, because I'm in a weird state. Got it. I need to figure out why that's still doing that. Okay, so we said we needed a contact widget because I wanted to see what that looks like. Because there is a definite use case for that. Save. Go back here. Cool beans. Pull that. Drink coffee while it compiles. Compiled too fast. I didn't have time to drink my coffee. I don't usually complain that things compile too fast. Usually it's the other way around. It's that whole yelling at the thing to, hey, can you compile faster? I don't know about you, but that's usually my complaint. Let's see what you look like with a contact form. Looks great. Looks perfectly fine. We do kind of want to text because if I go wide, it did take the full. Yeah, it's taking the full. So I need to. Why is it not taking the text align center on the send? Button. Oh, because it's a button and not a dot button. So we need to do button or dot button. And now we'll get the, because that way if you have both, you'll be in good shape. And it'll be at least the same. Cool. But what I don't need anymore because we want, oh, wow. This is fine. This is fine. Actually, what I could do to prevent it from bleeding into other components and potentially messing stuff up in terms of widgets imported. If I do that, it's only going to take the immediate child actions, which should prevent like the send inside of the form from being affected. There we go. So now that's not affected because it's only the immediate child of CTA. So like this should be the whatever from the form which is getting it from styles. Yeah. Yeah. If it's getting that from styles anyway, might as well be full width. It's a really it's a call to action. Fuck it. We'll see. We're gonna do it. Ah! That's not what I meant to do. There we go. There we go. Okay. It's a call to action. We'll make it pretty. There we go. Likelihood of you having both of those is slim to none anyway, so it will prevent that from getting overwhelming anyway. So we're good. I'm going to remove that from my thing so that that doesn't accidentally get gone to prod. My Calendly being there is not a big deal if that accidentally goes to prod. I don't necessarily mind that. And that gives us a good place to stop. I was going through the requirements to make sure we got everything. So that was the last piece that I wanted to double check, was the contacts. So we're good there. So we need to, what is this? Web 176. All right. So git checkout web -176. Actually the -b helps. Let's figure out what all we have in store to commit. Make sure we don't have any undo console logs or anything weird. That's legit. Yeah, because that we can do. Yep, that's fair. That's fair. That needs to get deleted. No need for that. Yep, that's fair. That's all, everything we just did. That's legitimate. That's legitimate. And the deletion of that, which is completely unused, is legitimate. So git status, git add all. Git status. Git commit -m. Web 176. What was the ticket called? I don't know. Display more blog contributor profile data on the profile page. Git push, set up stream origin 176. And then we can go ahead and pull request that. If Bitbucket will acquiesce. Maybe. 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 Bitbucket is experiencing an incident. Oh, glorious. Thanks, Bitbucket. I guess we will be PRing that tomorrow. Did it actually? Does not appear to be a Git repository. My ass. Okay, I guess we will be pushing that tomorrow. Or whenever they fix their stuff. So with that, I think we did a good thing. We finished off. Yeah, okay, thanks. Thanks, dude. We got a lot done. It looks really cool. We have expanded the profile data, including fixing kind of the layout with the image and the pronouns and the names, as well as adding recognitions and the ability to have your own website on the profile. So that is super cool. So with that, we're going to call it good for tonight. Thank you all. Thank you all for hanging out with me and suffering through this with me and figuring out all of the wonderful things on the integrations with Calendly and working with 11D. And I will see you again, hopefully next week, same time, same place, for some more website randomness. I'll have to figure out what we're doing since we finished this little piece. More than likely more website work. So I hope to see you there. Have a great weekend, everybody. And for those celebrating holidays this weekend, hope you have great holidays there too.